Hey fight fans, welcome back to the Fight Book. This is the Indian accent guy, and today we have a lot of interesting fight updates related to the fight world. We have rankings update after UFC Kansas City, Jack Della Maddalena's shocking win over a world champion ahead of his UFC 315 fight, John Jones versus Thomas Masvidal both breaks record as champions, and 9 new fight announcements including Arman Tsarukyan's next fight. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. First, we have rankings update after UFC Kansas City, and Ian Machado Gary gets a slight move up in the welterweight rankings following his UFC Kansas City win, gaining 1 spot and landing at number 6, moving past Joaquin Buckley. The man Gary beat, Carlos Prates, stays firm at number 13. Sean Brady, who is the number 1 contender in the welterweight division, went off on Ian Gary for calling for a title shot next. He says Gary just beat number 13, he doesn't deserve anything. He can be the backup fighter all he wants, but that don't mean nothing. With the co-main event victory, Ming Yang debuts on light heavyweight list at number 14, pushing Alonzo Menifield down 1 spot to number 15. The retiring Anthony Smith departs the list in his final week of eligibility. In the feature bout, David Onama beat Giga Chikadze, and now he debuts on the featherweight list at number 14, while the man he beat, Giga Chikadze, departs the top 15 list. In the middleweight rankings update, Nurmagomedov also debuts in the rankings at number 15 by beating Michel Pereira. The man he beat departs the top 15, and these were the only changes in the official UFC rankings. Now from this weekend's card, Figueiredo versus Corey Sandhagen, we have a latest Instagram post from Figueiredo for which he is getting criticism over his weight and out of shape body. Bo Nickel, who is fighting in the co-main event, also shows he is 222 pounds on the scale only 6 days before his fight against Rainier de Ridder. Also from this card, there was a light heavyweight clash between Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tacos, from which Junior Tafa had pulled out, and now his opponent Tuco Tacos is also injured, so UFC no more needed a replacement opponent for him, and they are planning to reschedule this fight to a later date because both of the fighters have now pulled out of this fight. Then from UFC 315 card, we have a footage where Jack Della Maddalena put BJJ world champion Craig Jones to sleep in training. All the UFC fans who were sleeping on JDMs are now awake, and JDM has now raised his stock with this leaked footage. Anyway, a fighter from UFC 315 card also pulled out. It was a featherweight Gavin Tucker who pulled out of his fight against Jeong Young Lee, but thankfully UFC have found the replacement, and it is Daniel Santos who will be taking on Young Lee next weekend at UFC 315. Other than this, we have 2 more fight announcements from the UFC as well as Arman Tsarukyan's fight announcement. First fight is added on UFC Vegas 107 card May 31, headlined by Blanchfield versus Barber, and it is a lightweight bout where Las Vegas' own Jordan Levitt will return in action against Kurt Holobaugh. Both are coming off a loss, looking to get back into the win column. Second fight is added on UFC Atlanta card on June 14th, headlined by Usman versus Buckley. It is another welterweight fight where Michael Chiesa will return against Court McGee. Then Karate Combat announced that UFC's number 1 contender at the lightweight division, Arman Tsarukyan, will take on Islam Makhachev's teammate Makhachev Zanukov in a submission grappling bout. It will be a catchweight 175 pounds fight this Friday on Karate Combat 54 card. And then now let's talk about the records that John Jones and Tom Masvidal has broken. Tom Masvidal is now the longest reigning interim champion in UFC history, surpassing Renan Barão's 534 days reign. And we are still no closer to getting the Jones fight. Anyway, John Jones now also have officially the second longest undisputed heavyweight title reign in UFC history, behind only Cain Velasquez's reign of 819 196 days from 2012 to 2015. Jones is only one step closer to having the longest title reign in two different weight classes. Now at the end of this UFC section, we have some random updates from the UFC. First, UFC lightweight Vince Pichel has officially announced his retirement from MMA at the age of 42. Then Guram Kutatiladze, after 3-2 run in the UFC along with Kevin Jousset, have been removed from the UFC roster. Dan Hooker has a new tattoo. Khabib Nurmagomedov again got seated in the emergency exit row on his flight. And the official trailer of The Rock Dwayne Johnson's The Smashing Machine, in which he is playing MMA legend Mark Kerr, is released. Now let's talk about some big news from the boxing world. First, we have Conor Ben, who without wasting any time got back to training, and he says he have watched the fight replay and he personally had himself winning by 1 point. Alexander Usyk also believes that Ben should be the winner against Chris Eubank Jr. Anyway, there was Usyk vs Dubois press conference where Usyk gets Dubois to sign photos of that low blow from their first fight back in 2023, which is being used by Team Dubois, claiming Dubois would have won that fight if Alexander Usyk did not act it like that was a low blow. Don Charles in the press conference says that Usyk deserves an Oscar for his acting during the low blow incident in his fight with Dubois. Anyway, after a good press conference, they faced off, and this time without any pushing. This weekend's Fatal Fury card fighter also faced off, where Garcia looked so confident. Teofimo Lopez refuses to face off with Arnold Barboza, and a pretty ordinary face-off between Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. Ryan Garcia, in an interview with Ariel Helwani, says that he has only 2 fights left with Golden Boy, this one against Romero and then the next one against Devin Haney. And then the big news from unified super welterweight world champion Sebastian Fundora. Fundora was ordered by WBO to take on the number 1 contender Xander Zayas as the mandatory challenger. But just 3 days before the purse bids, Sebastian Fundora announced that he will not participate in the WBO purse bids scheduled for this Friday with Xander Zayas. Instead, Fundora will vacate his WBO World Super Welterweight title to target a rematch with Tim Tszyu for July 19th in Las Vegas as an optional defense for his WBC World Super Welterweight title. A fight between Keith Thurman versus Tim Tszyu was planned for Australia before Tszyu exercised rematch clause, which could be triggered before or after Fundora's first title defense. As far as Keith Thurman is concerned, he is now primed for an opportunity to become 2-division champion, as he will be facing the winner of Tszyu versus Fundora. The number 1 contender Xander Zayas will now get the title shot versus the number 2 ranked contender George Garcia Perez. The WBO Super Welterweight title purse bids will remain in place for Friday, and the participants will be Zayas and Garcia Perez. Garcia is the one who upsets 12-1 favorite Charles Conwell earlier this month in California on Golden Boy's card, and that's all in this video. Now you are completely up to date with the fight world. If you like this video, you know what you're supposed to do. Just share your thoughts in the comment section and then do whatever you want.